This happened back when I was in my first year of college. I had moved to Wright Pierce City for my studies and was living in a hostel at the time. One night, a few of my friends and I decided to go out. Luckily, I had brought my scooter from home when I moved, which made traveling around easier. Of course, sneaking out of the hostel at night wasn't easy, but I had built a good relationship with the warden, and that night he helped us. There were 4 of us to start: me, Halor, Jai, and Aditya. 2 of our female friends, Neha and Sumya, were going to meet us later. It took them a little while, but eventually they arrived at the spot we told them to. Now we had 2 scooters and 6 people, so we split up. Jai offered to drive Neha and Sumya, while I drove my scooter with Halor and Aditya. As we were getting ready to go, I asked Neha where we were headed. She just smiled and said,
"Just follow us."
It was winter, and the chill in the air made it harder to ride comfortably at midnight, but we managed. After a while, I started noticing how far out of the city we were. That's when Aditya asked Neha,
"Where are we going?"
Neha responded that she knew of a mall, one that had been abandoned and was rumored to be haunted. That's when things started to feel off. Halor didn't like the sound of it. Honestly, neither did I, but we'd already come this far, and I didn't want to be the only one to ruin the night, so I agreed. But Aditya leaned toward me and whispered,
"Look at Sumya."
I turned to look, and something was definitely wrong. Her face was pale, and she looked uneasy. I asked,
"Sumya, are you okay? Feeling sick?"
She shook her head.
"No, I'm not sick, but something's not right. I have a really bad feeling. We should turn back."
Neha snapped at her.
"Shut up or we'll leave you here in this forest."
Before I could respond, Halor suddenly asked me to stop the scooter. He said he wasn't feeling well, so I pulled over. Jai, riding behind us, stopped as well. Aditya gave Halor some water while he sat down on a milestone nearby. We started chatting and began coming up with reasons why the mall had been abandoned. Then, out of nowhere, Sumya let out a scream, a loud scream. It startled all of us. Halor choked on his water and stood up abruptly. Sumya began to cry. I rushed to her, grabbing her arms.
"What happened?"
I asked. Her voice trembled.
"We need to leave now, please."
Neha was furious.
"Stop acting childish."
She shouted, but this time Sumya shouted back.
"You need to stop this. I'm not joking anymore."
That was all I needed to hear. I told Sumya to get on the scooter. We all climbed back on and headed toward town. The ride was quiet, tense. Sumya was clinging to Jai so tightly, it made me a little jealous, I won't lie, but it also showed just how terrified she was. Around 5:30 a.m., we stopped at a tea stall. As soon as we parked, Sumya rushed to a chair and sat down. We gathered around her, still shaken. I asked,
"Are you okay now? Do you want some water or food?"
She shook her head, staring blankly.
"No, just let me sit here."
Jai moved closer and gently asked,
"What did you see?"
At first, she said nothing, but then, as if reliving it, her face turned pale again. What she told us still gives me goosebumps. She said that as we entered the outer forest area, she had noticed something, or someone, a woman, hiding behind the trees. At first, she couldn't get a good look because we were riding, but when we stopped and Halor sat on that milestone, she saw the woman clearly. She said the woman was standing right beside Halor. Her legs were bent at strange angles, her eyes pure white. Her skin was pale and lifeless. We were all frozen, especially Halor. He just stood there, replaying the exact moment in his head. Since that night, I've stopped venturing to the outskirts after dark, because sometimes you don't know what's watching you from the trees. I lived with my grandmother for a large part of my life. Across the street from her house lived a woman, her neighbor, who always looked at us in a strange way. She hated our family, and I still don't know why. She didn't hide it either. You could see it in her eyes, in the way she glared, like we'd done something unforgivable. But then, in 2015, when I was 8 years old, something unexpected happened. That same woman called me over to her front yard. She was smiling. It was the first time she'd ever acted friendly. I was an innocent, naive child, so I crossed the street without hesitation. She was holding a doll, a big one, around 3 feet tall. It had blonde, shoulder-length hair with bangs and looked just like one of those old dolls from the 80s or 90s. She gave it to me, and I accepted it. Why wouldn't I? I brought the doll home and showed it to my family. They thought it was odd that she'd suddenly act nice, but no one really questioned it. Days passed, and for no clear reason, I started to feel afraid of that doll. I didn't want to be near it. I couldn't look it in the face. My mom and aunt thought it was funny. They'd play little pranks like putting the doll next to my bed holding a fork while I was asleep. It wasn't meant to scare me. They always cared about me. But to me, it wasn't funny. I was terrified. And then, strange things started happening. My grandmother had already been struggling with depression after losing a close relative. But after the doll came into our house, her condition rapidly worsened. She began having hallucinations. She stopped recognizing people, even me, even my mother and aunt. The only person she recognized was my uncle. She would talk about seeing the house on fire. She told us she saw me and my cousins lying dead in the kitchen. She walked aimlessly through the house, never speaking clearly. There was always a worried, almost haunted look in her eyes. She wasn't herself anymore. It was like something had taken over. My family started to believe something spiritual was happening. We brought in a pastor to bless the house. We even called a medium from Umbanda, an Afro-Brazilian religion, to try and expel whatever was there. During one of these sessions, my mom, who has always been spiritually sensitive, said she felt a hand around her neck, trying to choke her. Eventually, my grandmother had to be admitted into a psychiatric hospital. Even there, the hallucinations continued. She believed the doctors were trying to kill her. She begged not to be left alone. And that doll, the one that the neighbor gave me, my uncle took it and threw it away somewhere along the road. To this day, I don't know what was inside that doll, and I don't know if our neighbor cursed it, but it's the only explanation that makes sense. My grandmother is okay now. She's stable, but she has to take a lot of medication to stay that way. We don't talk much about it anymore, but it's something none of us will ever forget. And that woman, that neighbor, who gave us those dirty looks, she still lives across from my grandmother's house, and she still looks at us with hate. And once, she even tried to run me over with her car. I just wish I knew why. Why did she do this to us?